Hello everybody, welcome into my latest live video. It's Friday, and every Friday at exactly this time right now, which is 1 o'clock Pacific time, I always have a brand new live video. Hello and thank you to our good friend Peter Laycock, who just contributed 10 pounds in Super Chat and says good evening, Carrie and Marlena and everyone in the chat room. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh is 59 degrees Fahrenheit, which is also 15 degrees Celsius. And Peter, or Buster as we call him, also sent in a PayPal contribution. Thank you for your continued generosity. He's just a very, very generous man. And a thank you and a welcome to a new member, and that is Gregory McGinn, who became a new supporter here. As a reminder, you can hit the like and the subscribe. I was talking with someone the other day. I said, how come if you like that video, you didn't like it? And they said, because I forget. Okay, here's your reminder. And if you haven't subscribed, you can do that too. Just click on the subscribe button and turn on the notifications with the bell icon there and select how you want to be notified. Now, of course, you don't need notifications if you're just going to join me on Friday's show. And for members, we do a show every Monday at 1 o'clock for members only. That's 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, just like today. Only on Monday, it's reserved for members only. Those videos will never become public. They are just there for members. And all the previous members only videos remain there for members as well. So, centered? I guess I'm centered. Looking at my OBS settings here. Let's hope things will go smoother today with my internet connection. And, you know, last week we had some sound issues. Let's hope for a good broadcast today. I had a different build I really wanted to do today. I have 3 builds that I'm doing, 3 PC builds. And the parts I need a micro ATX motherboard. I ordered it back on Monday, it still hasn't arrived. So on Wednesday, I ordered another one using Prime shipping, and that's due to arrive today before 10 p.m. So anytime between now and 10 p.m., well, the show has to go on. So I had to leave the video description a little vague. I knew one way or the other I was going to be using a Core i5-13500. And depending on, you know, giving Amazon time to deliver to see what would show up. Well, it hasn't showed up yet. So I'm going to do the build I was going to do next week today. And so that features this very unusual motherboard. It's the ASRock LiveMixer Z790. Now, there's no Amazon link to this because as far as I can tell, Amazon doesn't sell it. When I bought this motherboard, it was $260 from Newegg. And then the next, you know, I went to bed. I ordered it at night. I went to bed. I wake up. I want to check the status of my motherboard order. And I notice the board is now $199. Kidding me. And the processor, earlier when I had ordered one of these processors, it was $247. Then when I checked the status of my order a few hours later, it was $209. Right now, Newegg sells the same processor for $247. Well, Amazon has it for $209. On the other hand, Newegg has this board at $199, and Amazon doesn't seem to have it at all. So I put a link in the video description below for the motherboard to go to Newegg, even though I don't make any commission from that. I'm doing it for you because I want you guys to save money if you're interested. This is a very different look. And this is going to go to Andrew. If you recall, about a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half, Andrew is a DJ, and he was showing us his DJ setup. He like goes to bars and places where he DJs music. And he wants a computer that he can use to do sound mixing. So he's not recording a live band or anything like that. He's just going to do his own sound mixing. And I thought, you know, I've got so many parts laying around, I'll slap something together for you. And I thought I'd have it done in a day or two and give it to him. But then that led to a week, and then a month, and then 2 months, because I keep running into obstacles to configure the build with the parts I have, trying to force what I have to fit what he needs. But it's causing me a lot of labor, a lot of time investment. And I thought, you know what? This board just happened to hit my radar. This chip just happened to cross my radar. This RAM just happened to cross my radar. This is the TEAMGROUP DDR5 RAM. And I wanted to use one of the Zhang or whatever it's pronounced, 2 terabyte Gen 4 M.2 NVMe drives, because they're only $84 for a 2 terabyte Gen 4 drive. But guess what? That's arriving with the motherboard sometime today before 10 p.m. So I don't have it in time to even do this build the way I intended. But I do have this SK hynix. I've never used, I think I've used an SK hynix drive once before. This is supposed to be one of the best, if not the best performing Gen 4 M.2 drives, at least according to Gordon Ung over at PC World Magazine. So I bought one. It's been sitting on the shelf, and it's the last Gen 4 drive I have that's not 4 terabytes. So those, I'm hoping those Jing or whatever they're called drives, I hope they're good, because I could foresee using those in lower end, more cost budgety builds. And this motherboard, just like the other ASRock, it has 2 EPS power connectors next to the CPU. And I suspect we only need one. Most power supplies only give you one, with no option of adding a second one. So I had to look through my stack of power supplies to see if I had any more of the SilverStone 750s, because I wasn't using them. And it turns out this power supply isn't made anymore, but I found one similar to it at Amazon. But I can't tell if it's got the 2 EPS power connectors. I'm not even certain we even need both EPS power connectors unless we're overclocking it, but I'd rather have them and not need them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want the customer calling me having a problem that turns out to be the system's getting starved for power. So now I wish I had some more of these SilverStone ET750s. It's not modular. Also, the case this is going to go in is an NZXT case that I've ordered from Amazon. And you'll see there's going to be a purple theme going on here. It's a purple motherboard. It'll be a black case, and we'll set the RGB lighting on it to purple. And Andrew has no idea I'm doing this. I mean, unless he's watching this video, he has no clue this is coming. I think he's going to love it. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and use the SK hynix drive with my intention to replace it with the Jianjing or whatever it's called when I get that, which will be probably minutes after this video airs, unless there's a couple of things that might happen today. One, we might hear the doorbell because packages are arriving. And two, we might hear the landscapers. I was hoping they were going to be here earlier. They said they were coming today, but I don't know where they are. So you've been warned. So this is going to be a little bit of some interruption, likely. But if we're lucky, we can get the whole thing done without interruption. It's live. We'll see what happens. Colin Hunt contributes £5 in Super Chat. Cheers, Colin. Thank you. Ron says, I have a new ET650 sitting here if you need it. I really want the 750. That one is, because if they want to add a graphics card to this, I want them to have the wattage available. So I appreciate that, but it's going to be a little underpowered for the addition of a graphics card, which I'm not adding a graphics card to this. It's for a DJ sound mixing. There's no reason he would need that. It would just be heavier for him to carry it around. It would require more power. But he still might want to add one and use the computer for more than just mixing, right? He might want to turn it into a gaming computer because it's so powerful. There's no reason the computer can't do both, but I'm not giving it to him that way. All right, just so we're clear. Mike Visions contributes £2. He says, hello, Carrie, and all in chat. Hey, thank you, Mike. Richard Collins says hello. And Bob R says hello. Stealth Mode says hello. I see Rick Lakes and Kevin Doan and Andy Ray. Sue Cool 98, Lawrence and Positive Gene. I see Chris Garrett and Matthew Burden and Mats Olof watching us in Sweden. Chris Johnson and Russell Stewart and Garfield Rupe and John Inglis and Scott says hello. Eugene Hidalgo says hello from New Jersey. Darren Gilholm and Essential Working Too Hard saying hello. Zach Bischoff joins us. Bike Man joins us. Gil Garcia and Thomas MacT and Josh Kinder all in the chat saying hello. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Bobby Richards joins us. Keith Landers, Young Tae, William Dawson, Wintermute, Sarge Tech, Avery Ramstorff and Dwayne Blackwelder. John Lewis in construction. Not in construction, and somebody named construction. Eric Lopez. There's Maralina DG in the chat. Gary Tatum. Oh, I heard a cackle. I hear another cackle. Oh, and guess what? There's motion outside. So this could be the landscaper. I don't know. Nicholas Barlow says hello. Alan Young says hello. Martin Jackson says hello. As does Dennis Mitz, Tim Francis, Patrick Rousseau, PM Crisp, Libranthesis, Stoneman 2000, Richard Nyrad, Ahmed, Green Dragon, and David Tracy, Andy Windridge, Captain Blinsky. Whew, a lot of people in there. Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I want to go over some of the parts with you first before we do any unboxing. And to do that, I'm going to share my screen, which I forgot to set up here before the show. So let me switch this over to that. And let's start with the CPU. It's on. There it is. Okay, so you'll see that the Core i5-13500, it's a really decent processor. It's got 14 cores, 6 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores with 20 threads. And it'll turbo up to 4.8 gigahertz. Now, when you compare that to what everybody's talking about, 13600K, you'll notice the 13600K is $100 more, exactly $100 more. It has the same 14 cores, 6 performance and 8 efficiency cores, but it will crank up to 5.1 gigahertz instead of 4.8. And there's no heat sink and fanning. This is just a chip. You have to provide your own cooling. So I would use a Scythe Mugen 5 that adds $60 to this price. And for what? For 300 more megahertz? That's no thank you. I think I'll stick with the 13500. 13500 also runs cooler. Won't get as hot. And it's fast. It's really fast. But check this out. If we go over to Newegg, let me go over here to Newegg. And let's see how much 13500 is. $247. Remember when I told you I paid $247 for it? It's actually $248. We're 2 cents shy of $248. Well, that was the same price at Amazon. But Amazon has reduced it, exactly the same. The only difference is the price. That is the lowest price that's been in 30 days. If you use my link to purchase anything at Amazon, I make a small commission. I don't know who you are or where you are. I can only tell what was sold and what day it was sold so that I know how much Amazon owes me in commissions. So it's a nice anonymous way for you to support the channel. We're going to go back to this TEAMGROUP RAM. I'm really enjoying it. And price even went down a couple of bucks. I think I paid $92.99. Now it's $90.99. This is 6,000 megahertz. It's got the heat spreaders on it. It's 32 gigs, 16 gigs each. It's a good price. Then we've got, this is the fanxiang. What is it? Is that an R? Rangiana? I'm not sure how to say it, but look at this. 2 terabytes, Gen 4, up to 7,300 megabytes per second on the reads, which is what a Western Digital 4 terabyte Gen 4 drive will do for $375. They're doing it for $89.99. There's a coupon to apply $6 off. Yes, please. That sounds too good to be true. That's a really, really, really good price. I mean, at this point, there's no excuse not to have at least a 2 terabyte drive. Keep your data backed up, and then, you know, if it turns out that it's not reliable, just get warranty replacement and restore your backup. But that didn't arrive yet. It's supposed to arrive sometime today. So instead, since I have this drive, this is what I'm going to use, the SK Hynix Platinum P41. Look, speed only says up to 7,000. The other one set up to 7,300. This is supposed to be one of the fastest drives because of the included DRAM and it's got a 5-year warranty on it. So we'll use that today. The motherboard, I want to talk about this motherboard. This is the LiveMixer, and it's a pretty unique looking board, and I think it's going to be really ideal for our DJ friend because it just looks cool. It's got the, I mean, it does look like a pigeon visited, but it's really kind of cool. I wouldn't put this in an office. It's not really professional. Unless that office was like a music production house. Look at all the I/O this board has. It's insane. We've got an HDMI port, a display port, 2 USBs here, 2 more USBs here, 4 more USBs here, 4 more USBs here, 2 more USBs here, Ethernet, and then we've got a microphone input, speaker output, it appears, and an SPDIF. How many is that? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 ports on the back of the I/O. That's crazy amount of connectivity. And that's the appeal of this board. And of course, it looks very different. Look, they've even graffitied the back of it that no one will ever see. Now, I've never used this board, but since I had such good luck with the other ASRock board from the Gen 5 SSD test, I'm very, very happy with that board. So since this is in the same family, I'm expecting more of the same. This will work with a 13th gen or a 12th gen Intel core processor. It does require DDR5. The sound chip is a Realtek ALC. What does it say? 897. It's a 7.1 channel. We've got 4 SATA 3 ports. We've got the one blazing M.2, which is a Gen 5. I'm not going to put a Gen 5 drive in it yet. When those TEAMGROUP Gen 5 drives comes out, that they're going to do 14,000 megabytes per second. They're showing them off at Computex right now. So it's a real thing. Once they go into production, I'll get one as soon as I can and we can test it out because 14,000, that's a big, big number. USB 3.2, Gen 2.2, front type. There's a front type C port that you can use if your case supports it. Look at all the USB. And it's a Dragon 2.5 gig LAN. I don't know who makes Dragon. I've never heard of that before. And then if we go over here to the power supply, this is pretty close to what we're using, or at least what SilverStone is offering today. I've had this power supply sitting around here for a couple of years now and just haven't had any use for it. And now that I have use for it, now I wish I had more of them, but I think this is the equivalent. I just can't tell if it's got 2 EPS power connectors. They don't show it. And nobody in the reviews is mentioning that. And then finally for the case, this is the NZXT H7 Flow. Now, ordering this from Amazon with free shipping, see the estimated date of delivery here? It's about 4 weeks out. But you see how that's all purple? I'm thinking of doing that with this motherboard that's purple. And I think it's going to make a really nice system for our DJ. What do you think? So you see the theme. You see what I'm trying to achieve here, right? We got a mix of I/O. We've got a music theme, and we don't need to go with a super high-end, expensive processor that's going to require expensive or an all-in-one cooler. We can use our stock cooler because, as it's been proven, when we ran this Intel 13500 i5 on Prime 95 for over 20 minutes using the stock cooler, no problem, not even close to having a problem. Nor did it ever really get loud. And Intel's done a great design improvement on these coolers, in my opinion. They look fantastic. They don't look like the OEM, the cheapest chips kind of. I guess I'm picking up British expressions now. It doesn't look like it's just a functional piece. It also looks good too. A lot of OEM included CPU fans, at least from Intel, have a very purposeful appearance. They don't appear very pretty, with a few exceptions. I'm glad to see Intel's moving in that direction and And that cooler and fan, they're included, for the heatsink and fan, are included with the chip, and the thermal compound is already applied, so we don't have to buy any thermal compound. We don't have to buy a third-party cooler. And this thing is fast, fast, fast. So that's going to be today's build. What do you guys think? Dragonland is real tech, says Terrell Cochran. Well, thank you, Terrell. I had no idea if Dragon was its own company or if it was a branding. And so apparently it's a real tech branding, because Intel bought Killer. Killer used to be its own network company, specifically for making network cards that were optimized for gaming. And then Intel bought them. So now if you see a Killer network interface card, that is owned by Intel now. I think I'm remembering all this correctly. Do I need a close-up camera? I think I'm going to need a close-up camera. Was there nobody at the door? So that just the wind blew and triggered the cameras. I also need to turn my AC down. I am getting hot. So bear with me here for a second. Let me get this AC down. Camera girl's going to hate me. She's going to freeze. Ah, I just heard it kick on. Are you ready? Yeah. All right, we're going to go to the close-up camera. Come on over. All right. Luke Greenia says, I'm hiding here in the weeds. I'm not feeling well, so I'll be lurking. Sorry you're not feeling well. Hopefully I can distract you for a little while here. Frank Jimmy wants to know, with this motherboard, do you have to supply your own M.2 mini Wi-Fi card and antennas for the rear I/O, or is it included in the box? Let's take a look and find out. So here's our RAM and solid state drive we're going to be using, and we'll set those aside. Here's the power supply that apparently they don't sell anymore, but it'll have the connectors we need. And I'm going to just get this out of the way since it's so big. We'll come back to that here in a little bit. Now, this is my first time opening this. I have no idea how it's packed or what's included in the box. So we're going to learn this together. Will one fan be enough? Yes. Yes, it will. Okay, so ASRock likes to put a box in a box, and they ship that in a box. Well, this is packed very similarly to the other ASRock build we just did for the Gen 5 test. There's our board. Looks exactly as the picture. And then if you come back over here, underneath this cardboard, there should be all of our, oh, there's another box in the box in the box. Documentation. You know what? I don't want that box in there anyway. We've got documentation and a Go Faster sticker and some Velcro zip ties is a nice touch. We've got a bunch of M.2 screws. Now, I like to put these into the motherboard where they belong, even for the M.2 slots we're not using. And it looks like we've got 5 of these little tiny screws here. So we will attach all of those to the motherboard so they don't get lost, and then SATA cables. So there is no Wi-Fi on the board. You can add internal laptop style M.2 Wi-Fi, but I wouldn't, because the wires are so thin and finicky. I just think it's a hassle. What I would do instead is I would put a PCIe Wi-Fi card in, such as the FenV Wi-Fi card I talked about the other day. That's also in the link in the video description. It'll say, you know, it's my Amazon store. And if you look in my Amazon store, that FenV card adds Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. But yes, if you wanted to, you know, looking here on the board, let's get something I can point with. Okay. So here's our M.2 here. That's 2280 in length. Then we have two more M.2s, one on each side underneath this heatsink. You see this giant heatsink right here? See how this heatsink is so much thicker? You probably can't tell from that angle. But if you bring that camera down and straighten the camera, make the camera more up and down. No, face the camera like you're straight up. Just like that. Take a look at how thick that heatsink is. So that's for a Gen 5 because they do get hot. But that's all you need. You don't have to do anything additional as far as that goes. And we're not going to use a Gen 5 in here, but we'll probably put a Gen 4 in here. And is there even M.2 Wi-Fi on this? Yeah, right here. That's our M.2 Wi-Fi. So if we wanted to put a laptop Wi-Fi adapter in there, like an AX210 or something like that, you could. And then does the I/O shield have holes for antennas? It does. So those holes, you'd have to open this up and then you'd have to run the wires somehow from here to there. It's just messy looking. You could also just put a USB Wi-Fi adapter on the back, but I would go with the FinV because it's cheap and it's super easy. This board does not include Wi-Fi. If I go over to Amazon real quick, let me go back to my Amazon page here. Let's go to Sure and type in NV6E. That's the card. Oh, it's even cheaper. $40.99. That's the card I recommend. That's going to be Wi-Fi 6E, and it's all Intel chips, so you can get the drivers right from the Intel Driver Assistant for free. You don't have to use drivers from FinV. It's all Intel-based. And there's additional little cable that plugs in and into the USB port of your motherboard. And that's what enables the Bluetooth. They don't show that cable, but it's a little cable that comes out the back of the card and plugs directly onto the motherboard. And that's what I would use if I were going to add Wi-Fi to this. In fact, I might be adding Wi-Fi to this because I think he's going to need it. I just didn't think about that till just now. So let me get this. Let me get the zip. This motherboard is zip tied into this foam holder for some reason. Yeah, RAM prices and solid state prices are really low right now. It's a good time to upgrade your system. Never seen prices this good. Is it going to last? I have no idea. Did I forget one? Guess I forgot one. Look at that. So I can peel this, the I/O shield here, get that peeled off. Sometimes they may have plastic over any of these painted surfaces, but everything else, I don't see any plastic on it. So for our 5 little screws, see how tiny those screws are? I'm going to go ahead and remove them and just start them, except for the last one, because I'll use the last one when I install the M.2 drive in it. And I also want to pull up the chat room just so I can see what's going on. Good. Okay. So, why they have to put each screw in its own little bag seems quite wasteful. so easily lost. If I keep it in the motherboard where it belongs, even though we don't need it today, the owner of the computer might need it in the future, and they likely won't find the box. And they're difficult screws to find, to be honest. It's not like you're just going to run over to Walmart or the hardware store. You can find them on Amazon, but they make multiple different lengths of M.2 and widths. So you want the one that's designed for your motherboard. So we're not going to use this M.2 slot today. And we're not adding the Wi-Fi M.2, but I'll put the screw in there. Once again, so we know where it is. If and when we should ever need it, won't hurt anything. We'll take this heatsink off because we're not going to be using either of these M.2s under here. So we'll put those screws in place. Now this should have some thermal tape underneath. It does. And we'll leave that protected. And then of course, we've got an M.2 slot here and here. So we need to put a screw here and here. So I need 2 more of these. And then that's going to leave us with one left. That's going to go up here. And that's where we're going to install our M.2 for today. So, do you think this motherboard is ugly? Or do you think this motherboard is really attractive?
It's awesome.
I wasn't asking. I'm kind of curious what the audience thinks. So, I know you like it.
Yeah.
I already know that.
Fluffy.
Fluffy?
Fluffy. Yeah.
That's a word.
Fun to look at.
Fun to look at.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess you're fluffy. Do they do a matching case? I don't think ASRock makes cases, do they? Yeah. That would be so specific, and so many people would find it ugly. I don't know how many they'd sell to make it worthwhile. Down there. Gary says it looks like a die pack explosion. Yeah. The good news is you don't have to rob a bank to pay for this board. I mean, $200 for this board is a great price. That's a $60 savings, and $209 for the CPU we're using is a $40 savings. So that's $100 in savings. Last time I did the math, it worked out to $100. So with that out of the way, I guess I can go ahead and put the M.2 drive in first. So we'll go ahead and start here. And it looks like it's keeping these screws captive, so we don't worry about them falling out and losing them, I think. Yeah. So then we'll peel that tape off. We're going to use this one or this one. This one or this one. I forgot what the difference was. I know it says it in the manual. It's got us defaulting to go to this slot. If we want to use, you can't use both. You use one or the other. One's going to be a Gen 5. Oh, it says right here, PCIe Gen 5x4 right here, which is going to take some bandwidth out of that slot right there, I bet. Or we can go the other way around and go this way. And that should put us at Gen 4. What should I do? I'm not intending to keep this drive in there. So I think for now, just for the sake of moving the video along, we will do that. You see this connector right here? Apparently you can buy a cable and this will feed out to a monitor that you could have on the inside of your case. So your glass panel is basically a monitor. It gets fed from this cable, but they showed it off at CES back in January. And they said that the cable would be included, but they obviously didn't include it, and I don't know what kind of monitor you have to use. But that's what that's for, right there. Can you imagine having like a secondary monitor that's displaying your temps, your frames per second, you know, all your resource usage? I mean, I could see some use in that. Or heck, if I was a mobile DJ, I wouldn't need to bring a monitor. I could just move the computer case with the screen built in. So I need to look more into that and figure out what the status of that project is, if they're still doing that. Is it good to get 4 times RAM, or is 2x always better? 2x is always better. You have 4 RAM modules, then you have 4 RAM modules that can fail. So you've doubled your chances of experiencing a failure. Also, 4 RAM modules draws more power, twice as much power, and delivers twice as much heat. And if you wanted to upgrade, you would have to remove at least 2 of the modules. So your upgrade path, I literally cut the tape on this. Oh, maybe it's inside. It looks like it's supposed to sit in here. I'm nervous now. Is it not? Doesn't that look like there should be a drive right there? There's nothing in it. Nick Caffrey with a €10 contribution. Thank you, Nick. Come on, Carrie. Oh, phew, it's in there. And look, it's purple.
Yay.
Of course, we're going to cover it anyway. No one will ever know.
Well, matters. Matches.
Look at that.
Cool. Yeah.
Even the text faces the correct direction.
Fun.
Why is this not sitting properly? Doesn't feel right. I'm going to have to turn this around. Get a better look at what's going on here. That screw doesn't want to go down any further. It's strange. It's okay. I'm not accustomed to something fitting for the M.2 drives to fit that loosely. They're okay. It doesn't have to be but it doesn't have to be locked in where it doesn't budge. But normally that is how they seat. Let me go to camera 1 here real quick. Go ahead and step out. And I think the UPS driver's out front. Okay, so let's see if I can just take a look at this a little better with my glasses on. Make sure that that's seated all the way down. I mean, the screw fits really good. Just has a little play. Very strange. Very strange, but it's fine. You just don't want it loose. Garfield wants to know how I think it would look with a purple case and a purple keyboard and mouse. Well, I think Prince would approve. Richard Collin wants to know, where's my purple screwdriver, right? So now I can peel off the protective covering on this tape. And the blazing M.2, I think it faces this way. Yeah, that looks right to me. There we go. These can be a little difficult to find the mounting holes for the screws because it doesn't really lock in. The screws have to align it. There we go. Perfect. Very good. And that used all 5 of our little M.2 screws up. And then we've got the documentation for the solid state drive that'll go in the box. And there's some other terms and conditions paperwork in there. That's it for that. Okay, moving right along. Let's see, what did UPS bring me? What did UPS deliver today? Oh, it's another mini PC. So I saw this mini PC over at Newegg and it was on sale. And these mini PCs are getting so small, it's getting to be stupid. So this is what just arrived. It's called a LarkBox Pro. And we're not going to do this today, but I want to show you. I'll do this next week. But this is so tiny. This is an entire computer with Windows 11 on it. Can you believe that? Let me bring it up to the camera. Windows 11 Pro. So to give you an idea of just how small this is, right back here is a toy from the 1980s you might be familiar with. This is the whole computer. It's nearly, the Rubik's Cube is a little bit bigger. That is an entire 4-core computer. So yeah, any smaller than this, and the cables are going to be too big. It's getting ridiculous. So I saw that and I said, you know, as small as I've seen these things, this is now almost getting to the point of being funny. So I will have a review of this coming up. And I think you can even put a 2242 size SSD in here. I think it has eMMC memory, which is really, really slow. And obviously the RAM is soldered on. You can't upgrade the RAM. And I found this at Newegg. It was not at Amazon at all. And it's called a Chewy LarkBox Pro mini PC. And apparently they sell a version of it with Linux. So I guess you could put Linux on it if you wanted to. And we'll look at this later in the week, but that's why my phone was beeping, is that just got delivered and that will go in my staging area for next week's videos. It's live. I didn't know that was going to show up today. Libran says that can't be a computer, more like a wedding ring box. You know, that's it's way cheaper than a wedding ring box. Anyway, it's just getting ridiculous. So I can't wait to see it. Now, what do I want to do next here? CPU, I guess. Where'd my close-up camera go? You'll see I'm opening up everything, breaking the tape on everything. So if you're curious how often I get parts that are bad right out of the box or dead on arrival, DOA, it's live. And I can do this with confidence because it's very rare that we ever get dead on arrival parts. It's always possible. Thomas Backenstow wants to know, how much was that LARC box? I think it was $129. I can take a look here over at Newegg. LARC box Pro. Yeah. Go to video capture. That's it right there. $129.99. And there's a $5 gift card they'll send you. I don't know how I'm supposed. I didn't get any gift card. Better take another look before I throw the envelope out and see if there's another piece of paper in there. It says $5 promotional gift card with purchase. I don't know how you get that though. It says email delivery. Your promotional gift card will be emailed 4 days after your invoice. Then you have 1 year to use it. Okay, well, I'll probably be buying more from Newegg. I primarily buy from Amazon. And again, this is not available at Amazon, best I could tell. So there you go. There you go. Hey, camera girl, I could use some more close-ups. We'll take the CPU out of the box here. Oh, you know what? I don't think I told you about it. Yeah, I think I told you I ordered it. I thought, I don't want to order this, but I ordered it. It's just too stupid not to. Okay, close-up camera, come on over. So here's the box for our heatsink and CPU. And the way this is going to swing up, so we pull this plug, pull this tab here, and then we should be able to just lift up on this. Nothing else is holding us in. I think it's just caught underneath. There we go. Yeah, the new stock Intel coolers, they look halfway decent. Got thermal compound already applied, so just try and keep that free from any fingerprints or other dirt. There's our CPU. And there's usually one corner where the plastic is cut so you can get a thumb underneath that, put open. And then here on the motherboard, we take this lever, push it down and away, and this is going to lift up from the opposite direction you're used to, like the hood on a Corvette, or at least where they used to be. And oh, this CPU is kind of heavy. We're going, you see there's two notches. If you look very closely at the top and bottom, there's these little half moon shapes. And that socket right down here also has these little nubs that stick out. So we know we have a long end and a short end. So that reduces our opportunity of getting it wrong by half, because it won't fit that way. I know that the writing, see all the writing on the chip? that writing should be in the same orientation as this writing on the motherboard. All of this writing faces, like if I turn it now, the writing faces you, right? It says LiveMixer. You can read, well, that way is going to keep the writing in the same orientation. And to put this in, because there's 1,700 delicate little pins underneath here, what I'll do is I always hold the chip. I hold all electronics by their edges. Keep your fingers off the top, keep your fingers off the bottom.
Suction cup.
You can use a suction cup, but what I prefer to do is I'm going to take the edge and I'm going to put that edge against the edge of the socket without pressing it down. And then I'm going to gently lower it until my fingers are in the way, and I'm going to let it go and let it fall the rest of the way. And then I'm going to grab the edges of the heat spreader and just see if the chip moves at all. Right now, that chip is hovering over the pins. So if you put any downward pressure on it, you could, if you put downward pressure and move the chip, you could and likely will bend those delicate pins. So be gentle on how you do that. Let gravity be the only downward pressure on that chip until we're ready to close this. So we take this cover off. We've got to keep this cover because if we ever have to send the motherboard back for warranty, they want you to take everything off the board, including the M.2 screws. Because anything you leave on this board, you may not get back. They don't promise you're going to get anything back other than a board. So if you need to send a board to any manufacturer, you take your CPU out, you take out your RAM, you take out your storage drives, and I would take out the screws to the storage drives because some manufacturers, like Asus and ASRock, will not send them back to you. Now we can lower the lid. Now what this lid does, you see these two little tabs right here? They're going to push down. See how the heatsink has these edges, these wings? It's going to push down on those wings. And this lever, do you see how it's got a little loop right here? That's going to hit on the little fork end of this lid. And it's going to put a lot of pressure to evenly push the CPU down on top of the pins. And then we lock it in place. And there's a lot of resistance. You got to, you know, this is going to be stiff getting that down there. But that's all there is to installing it. It's very simple, but those pins are very delicate. So if we were to send this back for an RMA, we want to take that out, but then the pins are exposed and are very easily damaged. So you must put this back on to protect the pins, or every motherboard manufacturer will void your warranty. You'll say, no, warranty's void now because you shipped with pins unprotected. Okay, so then we have our cooler. So the cooler is super easy to put on. Want to take the power cable, which they've routed around here for packaging purposes, and just untangle that cable, get it all the way untangled. And we know that this power cable is going to plug in over here somewhere. So I don't want the cable to wrap around the fan. So when it comes to putting the fan on, I want power cable as close as I can get it to where it's going to plug in. So that means it's going to go on like this. I simply line up these little plastic towers with the holes in the motherboard surrounding the CPU. And just pick a corner and push straight down on the tower, and then do the opposite corner. And, you know, I had the same problem before where either these towers aren't shipping in a locked position or I'm doing something wrong here. There it goes. Just needed to put more muscle into it. Always do opposite corners. If you're not sure which way is unlock, the way this works, if you ever wanted to take this off, is you would want to lift up on the tower that you just pushed down, right? But it's locked. So you turn it Which way do you turn it? I think you turn it counterclockwise. You rotate it. You might need to get a tool in there, like a flat edge screwdriver. And then that unlocks it so you can pull it up. But you need to turn it back clockwise again until it stops if you want it to lock again the next time you push it down. And then this is our CPU power, and that's going to go right there, I think. Is that where CPU power goes? Yeah, it says CPU fan 1, right where my fingertip. Right there, CPU fan 1. And of course, all that's detailed in your motherboard manual. Now I'm going to open up all the RAM sockets, and I'll get a zip tie and we'll tie this up and out of the way before we mount this in the case. But I don't have the case, and I won't get the case for a few weeks, so I'm not going to worry about that for right now. Now, if you look closely on the motherboard, and again, this is also in your motherboard manual, it's going to tell you which of these RAM sockets to use first. So if you look right here with the camera, it is, something's in our way. It's right there. See if we can get the camera in there. It shows a little line connecting socket A2 and B2. So what does that mean? And again, this is going to be in your manual. What that means is this socket, the one closest to this edge of the motherboard, this is socket B2. The one above it is B1. The one above that is A2, and the one above that is A1. So it wants us to use A2 and B2 first if we're only using 2 DIMMs. So let's grab our memory and plug that in. And then we can fire this bad boy up and install, I don't know, Windows 11. Again, all brand new parts, unboxing them live. And that over there with the rest of our boxes. Okay. Was, I think, silver or black for RAM. So I thought, you know, the sockets are black and the RAM will be black. Purple and black go together. The Intel cooler is black. So it looks like purple and black with a black case with the RGB lighting set to purple. I think it'll be a nice themed color. So DDR5 looks exactly like DDR4. Just to the naked eye, if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't even notice unless you read the sticker. But DDR4 RAM will not fit in these sockets, and DDR5 RAM will not fit in DDR4 sockets. So if you bought the wrong RAM, don't worry. You cannot accidentally plug it in. It just won't go. So that's socket A2. This is socket B2. Push down with my thumbs, and then I close these little retention levers just for keeping it clean. And then that's our board all prepped. And now I'm going to get a power switch for this. I like this little power switch that I got on Amazon. It's got a power button and a reset button, and put a little quick connect on here. So all I have to do is find, where does it go? Right here. It's going to hang off the side because ASRock only gives you 8 pins there, but that's fine. It just makes it super easy to put the front port umbilicals on it. And then I need the power supply. So let's get the power supply opened up. This is our ET750. And let me move this out of the way for a second. And then our documentation that goes to with the computer. Non-modular preference. And we've got some screws included. And a power cable is included. So all that will go in the motherboard box. Just keep the rest of this. There's nothing else in the box. It's just keeping the foam in there. So the SilverStone ET750 is 80 plus bronze rated. So these are budget power supplies, but on the higher end of power supplies. I know that doesn't make any sense. Is it higher end or is it budget? It's a higher end budget. Because your really low end budgets are going to be like 400 watts. And then when you get above 500, when you're at 650, 750, you're into the more powerful power supplies. And then within that range, you have a line of, budget. So one of the things I didn't like about this was how long these cables are. But NZXT cases, and specifically that H7 series, are so roomy and easy to cable that this power supply is really ideal for that case. So here's our motherboard. Just stabbed myself. Darn it. This is why you shouldn't work backwards. I'm trying to do things so you guys can see it, and it's making it really hard on me here. Let me go this way. Here's our big 24-pin power connector. I like that we don't have ketchup and mustard cables, and the fact that they've separated these out like this means we can zip tie them and makes for some really nice clean cable management. So kudos to SilverStone for doing that. And then don't confuse your PCIe graphics card power with your CPU power. It can look very similar, especially if you connect these two pins here. It looks like the same connector. But CPU power doesn't have a separate 2. It can break into 2 4s, or you can have 1 8. Normally, a power supply only gives you 1. Most motherboards only need 1. But when you start getting into like your Z series motherboards, if you're going to do overclocking, there may be added power needed. So then I haven't tried using this with just 1 EPS power connector. And I don't really care, since if I just put it on there, it's a non-issue regardless if it's needed or not. So that hooks up the power, and we've got our power switch hooked up. So now I need to put in a keyboard and a mouse. Is it not focused? No, it isn't. Hold on a minute. I think that's my resolution on my screen. Let's go to YouTube settings. My tablet. Yeah, my quality on my tablet is low. So let me go to advanced resolution and choose 1080. Yeah, that looks good. Much better. Sometimes if the picture looks out of focus, it's because your resolution is dropped on your side. So the little gear icon at the top right corner of the video should give you resolution options. Richard Golan wants to know, where did I get the on-off switch? I got that from Amazon. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Keyboard and mouse, that's what I was going to do, right? Let me get these cables straightened out. In fact, you know what I want to do? I think I want to take these cables and tie them up, because they are going to get in the way throughout the rest of this broadcast. So I will just grab them here. See, they just like to interweave amongst each other. It creates a big mess. It starts dragging parts off the table. So we'll just pull these back like they were. There we go. That's much cleaner. And then I will use this zip tie that we just took off and put it back on there. Treat it like a beret for your hair. Is that what they're called? Berets? What's it called?
Scrunchy.
Scrunchy. Okay. That's good. keyboard and mouse right here. And we'll plug that in back here. Oh, I activated camera 1, so I got the back of your head now. There we go. And got to step around and give power to the power supply and plug an HDMI cable in. So let's see, here's power. Make sure the power supply is in the off position here. Plug that in. And then for the back, we need an HDMI cable over here. Should have one of those down here. Yes. We'll plug that HDMI cable in. Like so. I don't want to plug the internet into it yet. And let's grab a Windows 11 installation media. I've got a video that shows you how to make your own Windows 11 media directly from Microsoft for free. You just have to pay for the license if you want to activate it. And I will go to VIP CDK deals. I buy a Windows 10 Pro license, and I use the Windows 10 Pro license and use it to activate Windows 11 Pro because it's a free upgrade. You don't have to install Windows 10 Pro first. So I'm going to install, regardless if it's Windows 10 or 11, I always install without a product code. That puts you in the trial mode. Once the install's done, I grab all my updates, do everything I want to do. The very last thing is I go buy the license code. I wait till I need it. Just in case there's any problems, you have 30 days customer service with the folks over at VIP CDK deals. Use the code CARRY for a 30% discount. That means Windows 10 Professional is $15.90 as of May 26, 2023. Prices can fluctuate from time to time depending on everything from exchange rates to inflation. But for right now, $15.90. It doesn't make any sense to pirate Windows anymore and to run through the risks. And that, once activated to this board, that license code stays tied to this board forever. Can't move it. And you never need to enter it again, even a wipe and a reinstall. You just do it the same way I'm going to do it now. Tell it you don't have a product key. Make sure it's the same version. It's not Windows 11 Home. As long as it's Windows 11 Pro, it was previously activated. Then the next time we install Windows 11 Pro without a product key, when we hit Windows Update, it's going to recognize the serial number of the board. It's going to reassign the product key and reactivate it without us having to do anything ever again. No Microsoft account is needed for that. It's just the way the activation servers work now. Okay, I'm going to hit the switch to turn this on. Oh, we got a little RGB going on down there. Might look neat once it's put in the case. And we've got our Windows 11 media. So do you want to hit the button? Wait a minute before you do. We put the camera right up here. Go ahead if you want to. It's the fan. Very first boot up could take up to 3 minutes as it trains the memory and trains the CPU. BIOS has to figure all this out. Gull's Camp says, I hope your camera girl works cheap. Yeah, you and me both. And let's hopefully get a power on self-test here. Yeah, there we go. Host. Now it should automatically boot to that flash drive because there's nothing else bootable on here. I'm going to go back to camera 1 so you can take a break. Go ahead. Yep. And thank you. Thank you. Needs to be charged up. So there's 2 USB cables. One's a Type-C. You don't want the Type-C one. That's for the tablet. You want the micro USB. And, oh, I'm full screen on camera 1. This way. See what happens? I blinked and I missed it. And that went off. Full screen over here for me. Okay. So I always do the install exactly the same way. If you're new here. I always tell it I don't have a product key. Even if I do, I always say I don't. But I do need to know what version of Windows my product key is for. And it will be for Windows 11 Pro, that one right there. Hit next. And agree to the end user license agreement and hit next. Custom. Disk 0 unallocated space. That's our SK Hynix drive. And next. And we're off to the races. We'll see how fast this installs. Do I have a link for the on-off switch? Oh, you know what? I don't think that is in my Amazon store. Let me take a quick look here since we're waiting on Windows to install. Let's see if I can find it for you. Remember, I added the little quick connector from, basically it's included with a gigabyte motherboard. What would I search for? On switch PC. Yeah. If you want to search for it, this is it here. Just search for Owl Tree, and I will add a link to it. I mean, I'm not going to make much in the way of commission on it. It's $8.99, so I don't care. But I will add a link to it just to save people effort if you're going to watch this video after it's live. And you'll see what I searched for. That's how fast it was for me to find it. And go back over to camera 1 and back over to my HDMI input here. Okay, after our first boot. V Manor says there is a 13.3-inch side panel kit from Newegg for this board. Oh, really? Oh, this is going to get interesting then. Let's see. How does that attach though? It's only $88. Does it include the cable? Because the motherboard didn't. Back to the window capture here. ASRock 13.3-inch side panel kit. That's the connector, but where's the cable? Oh, I think I'm going to have to order this. I hope the cable's included. So, camera girl, look. This is the side panel monitor kit from ASRock.
Oh.
It looks like the cable's included. I'm looking right there. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so I better leave this page open. Thank you for that, Zvi. That's going to be the finishing touch, I think. I should order 2 of those. I think I'm going to build one for me and one for Andrew. Very cool. Who knew? Mystery solved. All right. Guys, cost me a lot of money. Let's turn that off. Oh, now I can do the final steps here. So turn off camera 1 for a second. Let's go through this final setup. English, United States. Yes. Yes, skip. I don't have internet. Continue with limited setup. Now I don't have to create an online account. That's why I do it that way. And then if I use the right keyboard, put in the name. Let's put in DJ Big Red. Wonder if he wants that as 2 words. I think it looks better 1 word. You leave the password blank. Turn off everything but the location settings. That'll take care of our date and time for us, including any daylight savings time changes, which we don't deal with, but everybody else pretty much does. Martin says, don't worry, it's just money. All right, you pay for it then. Nick Poverman says, can an SSD be truly erased so the data can't be retrieved? Sort of. You can easily erase everything but the overflow areas. So it's possible stuff may still exist in the overflow, which, maybe 1% of the drive is overflow. The only real way, if you want even that 1% gone, is to destroy the drive. Make sure every chip on the NVMe is broken. That's really overkill. I think for most people, just using a regular drive wipe on a solid state drive will erase it beyond recovery. But if you were worried that a governmental agency or somebody who had the level of equipment and knowledge it would take to just get that 1% back would be devastating to you, then the price of a solid state drive means nothing. Destroy the drive. But for everybody else, most normal people, average people, a regular drive wiping tool is good enough, even though it does leave a little bit of residue on a solid state drive. All right, now I can plug the internet in. I'm going to go ahead and remove. Tell you what, let's go back to camera 1 here. Camera 1. And full screen on camera 1 so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take my Windows 11 drive out. Done with that. And I'm going to step around and plug in the internet. Now we're ready for that. And we'll hit Windows Updates. As soon as I find my Ethernet cable, which is down on the floor here, somehow it got all the way over here. And it somehow wove itself around 2 other cables. I don't know how cables do this. Plug that in. Did our driver load automatically for the network card? Sometimes these 2.5 gig cards aren't detected by Windows automatically. So let's go back over to our HDMI input. Oh yeah, it looks like it loaded fine. So while I'm in here, I'll go to Start button, Settings, Windows Update, and we're off to the races. And it looks like it already adjusted time and date all by itself. Wintermute posts a link for the Owltree power button. There you go. Yeah, and the power button has lights on it. So we have a power light on that little power button and a hard drive activity light. It's cheap. Jim KJ3N says, I built my AM5 system on the AMD version of that same motherboard. Right on. I'll just have to remember to add the power switch to my Amazon store. I did go through the Amazon store last night. There were some items that aren't made anymore, and there are some items I don't use anymore. So I took those items all out. And if there was something that wasn't made, I found the equivalent and replaced it. So if you haven't seen my Amazon store in the last 24 hours, it's changed a little bit. And let me go back over to camera 1 since there's nothing really to see here. And so while we wait for this to update, the other thing I want to do is SK Hynix, the manufacturers of the P41 here, have a driver and a software utility, an NVMe driver. And I want to grab both of those because it's my understanding that their software utility is second to Samsung Magician. It's that good. It's not as good, but it's pretty good. And I've never seen it before. Fan, completely silent. I can't even hear it at all. I wouldn't even know it was spinning, except my eyes are showing me that it's spinning. So for a stock cooler, Intel's done a great job. Now, I'm not sure that that would do as good of a job on an i7 or an i9, but on this i5-13500, it's a nice pairing. I don't know which wine goes with which cheese, but pairing the right cooler to the right CPU, I have refined taste in that. Let's see. Jim, KJ3N says the fractal pop comes in cyan, which would be a good match for that ASRock board. I think it's too small, though. If we want to put that screen, I'm not a fractal fan. I don't really care for the design of fractal cases. Our good friend Anthony Remus over at Remus Computer Solutions that builds custom high-end machines in Las Vegas loves the fractal cases. It's not a fan. I don't care for them. But to each their own, and it's another idea to throw into the pot for viewers that are considering other case options besides what I'm using. Oh, goody, the landscapers have arrived, so we're likely going to hear some landscaping equipment in the background. I hope it's not too annoying for you. TKV says, would a Corsair 200R case provide enough airflow? So I don't know why people think there's an issue with airflow in any case. This is all sort of a technochondria mindset that only exists in the enthusiast world on the internet. It doesn't exist in the real world. As a PC computer technician repairing computers for over 30 years, never in my career have I had to replace somebody's case because of an airflow situation. The difference in airflow from one case to another is not more than 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees most Celsius. So if you live in a world where, if we go to the extreme at 5 degrees, if that makes a difference in your world, then you're running everything too hot. So there is no case that exists that I'm aware of that has airflow that would impact the cooling of a normal computer running with normal settings. If you know of one, show it to me, because I've never seen one. It's a weird fixation. And I'll tell you what happens is people are so busy watching enthusiasts, and enthusiasts do things that are so extreme, and they're not common things people do. So as a result, they get information that doesn't apply to them and they don't realize it. So when the enthusiast wants to overclock the computer to get 3 more megahertz, they might spend $2,000 in a custom liquid loop, extraordinary excessive fans. It's a level of abundance and excess that results in very little return. So they can eke out one little tiny step more than the next guy. And if you want to do that, that's fine, right? But for just the average computer owner, any case on the market that's an ATX case will not have a cooling problem with any motherboard you put into it unless you are overclocking the system. So, but yeah, there's so much enthusiast videos, and they're all pursuing the ultimate cooling and the ultimate performance at the ultimate prices, that people think that they need to do that too. And unless you're an enthusiast, you don't need to buy the level of hiking equipment you would need to have to survive an ascent up Mount Everest. But if you're watching a bunch of videos of people hiking Mount Everest, they're like, this is the tent I use, and these are the shoes I use, and this is the oxygen tank I use. You might think, because you're a hiker, that you need all that same equipment. But unless you're hiking Everest, you don't. You understand what I'm getting at? So it's up to you as a viewer to understand what you're watching. Are you watching enthusiast, or are you watching practical educational content? The enthusiast content is educational if you're an enthusiast. But the confusion is when viewers don't know there's a difference, or they think that they need that too. I can't tell you what you need. That's a decision you have to make. But as a working computer technician over 30 years in this industry, no heat issues have come up that resulted in changing a case or changing thermal compound. It's just never happened. Thermal compound gets changed when I have to remove a heatsink for some reason. So while I'm in there, I'll do it. But I've never just opened a computer to replace thermal compound. That's a crazy amount of liability to throw on my company. It takes too much time. There's no profit in it. And if you damage anything, even though it's an easy job, simple mistake, you now are paying for that back to the customer. And it likely makes no difference in whatever it was you were trying to fix. So by watching videos and reading articles online here on the internet, you would think that everybody was struggling to maintain heat problems. The people who do on a daily basis work in research at MIT. So they have experimental hardware and they're researching it. But this is all consumer grade stuff, folks. This stuff is pretty bulletproof. It's designed so somebody with no education on computers and no familiarity with computers could put it all together and it's going to work. It's consumer grade. It's not experimental lab equipment. So yes, the 200R would be fine. But why would you have such a beautiful motherboard and put it into a solid metal case that has no window and you can't see it? You could probably save money and get a board that doesn't have this extravagance, since it's going to be hidden anyway. What's the point of painting something and then covering it up so nobody can see it? Martin Hogg says hello from Scotland. Welcome in. Sue Cool says, I bought a bunch of stuff from Amazon using my link. Hey, thank you, Sue. Appreciate you. Appreciate that you're supporting the channel that way. Let's go back over to the HDMI input and see how we're doing on our updates here. Still moving along. And as we're waiting, if you have questions for me in the chat room, I'll do my best to provide answers. And I think I'm going to silence my phone because as the landscapers are walking around, it keeps triggering the cameras. So let's see if I can silence this. I know there's a way here on the phone to silence this. Where is it? Surprised I don't hear their equipment yet. I know there's a pause on there somewhere. Snooze. That's what it's called. And should be one more camera here. Okay, so hopefully that won't keep beeping as they do the work they need to do around the house. And how are we doing on this? Is this ready for me to start it yet? It is ready. Okay. Let's do that. And let's see what I'm missing in the chat room. Nick Poverman says, I purchased the 4 terabyte Team NVMe. I could not resist that price. I know, right? Isn't that a good deal? 4 terabytes for $189. NVMe Gen 3. Adam Jet says, Kerry, I'm running an RTX 3070 with a Ryzen 5600. A game at 3440 by 1440 ultra-wide. Do you think it would be worth it for me to upgrade to the NVIDIA's 40 series of GPUs or wait? I can't answer that question for you. That's really something that that you have to decide on your own, depending on how you use your computer and how much expendable money you've got that you won't miss. Goldscamp wants to know, do you think that most people watching you are PC enthusiasts? I don't know, but I don't make my videos for PC enthusiasts. So I'm not going to change my videos because that's what they want. My videos are not for enthusiasts. And if enthusiasts want to come in here, they're welcome, just as anybody else. But if they're expecting enthusiast content, I'm not changing my content for them. So if that's what you're expecting, there's plenty of other channels on YouTube. There are a dime a dozen. Channels like mine that show real practical work and pragmatism, they're few and far between. If you don't see the value in that, this channel isn't for you. Hey, Cordius Technology says, I'm building 2 Core i7-11700s for a client, and I was thinking about this processor, but it limits to 1 in the cart. Really? It let me buy 3, but it wouldn't let me buy any more than 3. He says, however, I will build the next couple of systems using that processor. Thanks for the info. You could try ordering 1, and then when it arrives, try and order another one. They may just make you wait 1 week at the longest. You should be able to order them once a week anyway. Was there a protective plastic on the bottom of the CPU cooler? There was not. The cardboard was the protection. And so when I removed the cardboard, it exposed the thermal compound. And let's go back to Windows Update again and see what other updates we've got happening. I'm so used to Windows 10 still. You'll always scroll down there. I'll hit install all here. All right. See what else is going on in the chat room. Captain Blinsky says, off topic, but the Samsung S7 FE tablet here is a great case for it. Oh, I already have a case for the Samsung S7 FE tablet that I'm very happy with. The tablet I'm using now, however, is a Tab 8 Ultra. And Camera Girl's using the S7 FE tablet, but the case that we have for it is awesome. Nick Poverman says, Kerry, I'll be in the Phoenix area next April. Hope to get some restaurant advice from you. April, that's a long way off. Holy cow. I'm still pursuing a house in Michigan, and we'll see if I have any luck this fall. If everything goes well, I won't be here. But I've said that before, and I'm still here. So don't hold your breath that I'm going anywhere. But that's a long... Talk to me in March of 2024 about your visit in April. You telling me about it today is... I'm never going to retain that information. That's way too far away. And we'll just keep that installing. So far, they haven't hit this side of the house with their lawn equipment. Been pretty quiet. Oh, it's coming though. What is the pizza place that I like in Phoenix? Oh, there's many of them. There's one called Il Bosco, Grimaldi's, Piazza El Forno, Malnati's. Yeah, there's many pizza places that are very good out here. Of course, Pizzeria Bianco is the one that Oprah made famous because she thinks it's the best pizza in the country, and it's good. I don't know, it's still pizza, you know. But if you're into the hype, you want to go to Pizzeria Bianco. It's not bad. Put a reminder into Alexa. I don't have Alexa. You were all PC enthusiasts or you wouldn't be watching this. Well, that's what we call semantics. When I use the word PC enthusiast, I'm referring to somebody, you know what, I'm not even going to go there. If I have to explain it, it's ridiculous. If you don't understand what I mean when I say things and you want to take everything literally, it's just really annoying if you're going to behave that way. It's not necessary. Let's see. Les Stevenson says, Carrie, thanks for your time. I'm still recovering from a nasty flu bug. Gotta go catch a nap. I'll watch the rest of YouTube later. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for the info today. Goodbye, camera girl. Also, well, I hope you feel better, Les. Got a couple of people feeling sick today. Larry G contributes $10 in Super Chat. Says, I love the live builds and camera girl's very nice, steady shots of the motherboard. Hello to the chat room. Thank you, Larry. Let's see. Do I have a price for this in France? I have no idea. I have no idea what's available in France. If you're in France, you'd have to tell me. I have no idea. Chris Johnson says, Lou Malnati's? Yes, Lou Malnati's. They have a couple locations in Phoenix now. If you like deep dish, it's really good. All right, we're gonna do these updates and we'll check updates one more time. And then, let's see, I'll run Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer, even though it's Windows 11. We'll copy over Crystal Disk Mark. Oh, and I wanna see about these utilities from SK Hynix, see what they look like. Edwin says he's been recovering from bronchitis for 2 weeks. Oh, that's never fun. Says he's looking good for Memorial Day, though. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. So we are putting in something that's big. And I guess it's going to reboot. Phil Hoffman says, hello, Carrie and everyone. My birthday is this weekend. I'm enjoying the live stream today. Everyone have a great weekend. Happy birthday, Phil Hoffman. Stealth Mode wants to know, would you demonstrate if a GPU will fit with the M.2 heatsink on? I'm not sure how I would do that because every GPU is different. I don't know that MSI would release a motherboard at this level that didn't fit a GPU, but I'm certain somebody out there probably has a GPU that won't fit, but I would think most of them are going to fit fine. Paul Howe says, my last round of chemo knocked me out for 6, and then it just stops. You okay, Paul? There we go. Another reboot. Paul's Camp says, sorry, I love your content. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. William Lynn wants to know if I have thoughts on CompTIA Security Plus for cybersecurity. My community college offers free training, and they pay for the CompTIA certificate. Well, I mean, if it's free, there's no harm in it. Are you worried about there being some negative effect of you having it? David Graham says CompTIA is a start. It's something. Nothing's better than actual experience. A lot of times you won't get the experience unless you have the education, but sometimes you can't afford the education without a job that would lead to experience. so that's a tough one. These are just all individual decisions each of us have to make on our own to determine where our path in life is. So like this little icon down here, this search highlights annoys me. If I type in privacy, oh, wrong keyboard. Over here, type in privacy search. Apparently I don't know how to spell. Privacy. I'm having issues today. Search. Oh, I gotta go through this. Start without your data, continue without my data, uncheck that, confirm. Close this out. Privacy search. Not coming up. How about search permission and history? Scroll down to show search highlights. Turn that off, and that thing goes away down there. And we'll check Windows Update again. Download and install. And while that's doing that, let's go look for those utilities and drivers. So it's SK Hynix P41 driver warranty download. Data migration tool. No. It's like firmware for the P31. We have a P41. Device manager. Let me go back in my search. Did I type? Yeah, I typed in P41. Platinum P41 SSD. Wow, this internet's slow. Products. Is there downloads? All about the SSD we're using on this build. Product images, specifications. Somewhere in here. Here, download files. Apparently we have wallpaper, because that's important. Screen keeps jumping as the pictures are loading. Why do I care about the wallpaper? Device Manager Easy Kit, 64-bit. Oh, Drive, not Device Manager. Drive Manager. And it says this firmware is for the gold P31, but we've got a P41. Update. Now, let's see what the Drive Manager is. It's all new to me. That looks like it's just a manual. Driver Manager. Driver Manager, 64-bit. I guess that's the one I want. Maybe it's got everything in one kit? No idea. Let's find out. Yeah, this connection is slow. We'll get there. Looks like we got about 406 people watching. Welcome in, everybody. I hope you'll stop into the chat room and say hello. We'd love for you to just say hello in the chat room. Paul House says, knocked me for 6 means it made me very unwell. Oh, I've never heard that expression. I hope you're feeling better now, though, Paul. Alan Ronald says, g'day from Perth, Western Australia at 6 a.m. in the morning down here, currently 3 degrees Celsius, heading into winter. Got a couple of things going on here. We're installing this big cumulative update as well as downloading this big driver manager, whatever this is from SK Hynix. We're going to find out. And George Perugia says hello in the chat room. Welcome in, George. I think while I'm waiting, I'll go get a cold Gatorade. That's what I need. Okay, now I should be able to see what the heck this thing is. Welcome to SK Hynix Drive Manager Setup. Okay, agree, next, next. Well, that didn't seem like it was too bad. Finish. This look like. It's our drive. Smart status, settings, details. It says it's using the Microsoft driver. So where do we get, oh, and there's our firmware, update firmware. Doesn't look for one for us. So no check. See, Samsung will check for us. Well, this is not as good or as modern looking as what I saw online. Oh, we're ready for a restart. Let's go ahead and restart. There's our friend Mark Gaines joining us from Northern Ireland with a 10-pound contribution. Says hello, Carrie and Marlena in chat room. Hello, Mark. Thomas Bagenstow says, Carrie, I love when you give explanations on issues. Same since 2017. Thank you, Thomas. Keith Landers says he found his CompTIA to be helpful. There you go. Old School Funk and Soul says, Carrie, knocked me for a 6 is a cricket game term. Hitting the ball for 6 runs over the boundary, similar to baseball, hitting the ball out of the park. Oh, okay. Late, but made it to the live one, says Boss. Welcome in, Boss. And it says no signal because the system is restarting and it's not sending a video signal out yet. There it goes. Those cumulative updates typically do this, where they do the, update occurs during the shutdown process or startup process of Windows before certain files get put into use in the Windows operating system. So it has to do it before the Windows loads or as Windows is unloading. And that's why these updates install a little differently. Okay, now, where's my utilities flash drive? We can copy over, let's see, I'm going to put VLC on here. So let's grab Crystal Disk Mark Portable. Oops, grab that. Let's grab, well, we don't have to grab, we can just install right off the flash drive. VLC. And while that's installing, we'll grab Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 Optimizer. That over there. Push that. Continue, close, Optimizer. Yes. Apply. And then a reboot. Elijah 52 Dickens says, looks like a main machine, Carrie. Yeah, I think it's going to be very impressive on all fronts. The way it looks, the way it performs. I hope that it will live up to those expectations. What are you smiling about?
It's so fun.
It's fun?
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. So, oh, you're just in time. I'm going to run Crystal Disk Mark on this P41 Gen 4 drive. I'm going to eject that flash drive. That out of there. Let's see what kind of numbers we're going to get out of this bad boy here. See if what Gordon at PC World says holds true. He claims this is one of the fastest Gen 4 drives on the market. Oh, okay. That's not bad. The Western Digital will get up to 7,300, but it's also a 4 terabyte drive, and the bigger the capacity, the faster the drive can go. So that's nothing to shake a stick at. Chico48 says, hello, Carrie and camera lady. Have a safe. Would you like to have a safe?
Hi. And I'm sorry to everybody who's messaging me or has messaged me with my name. I'm not logged in, so I can't respond.
You're responding just fine.
Fine.
NetEd says, thanks for the link to the 64 gig RAM bundle on Amazon. I ordered it last night. Nice. Good RAM. And it's good price. Bradley says, CompTIA Security Plus certification opens doors for government contracts. Highly recommended. Also, A Plus and Network Plus is fine for corporate work in many cases. There you go. Hey, everything's working. Oh, I should check the motherboard to see if we have a BIOS update too. Haven't done that yet. So we'll wait for these benchmarks to finish though. And I'm pretty sure there's an NVMe driver somewhere. I'll have to look for it. Elijah 52 Dickens says, hello, camera girl, and happy holidays.
Same to you.
See what our write speeds are. If it's over 6,500, I will be impressed. Oh, just. Hey, that's pretty good. Patrick wants to know if I've checked the device manager to make sure that there are no drivers needed. No, I completely forgot, Patrick. I'll do that too after this test. I don't want to interfere with the test. Terrell wants to know if the Solid9 Synergy works. I have no idea. This is my very first time using, I might have used an SK Hynix drive once before, but I don't remember. So I don't really know much about them. Alan Ronald says, I got my Ace Magician N105 plugged into my TV. It's great for armchair browsing. Oh, for sure, for sure. That Ace Magician that somebody sent me because they said it wouldn't boot up, and we ended up just resetting the M.2 drive and reinstalling Windows 11 on it. Of course, I updated it and run Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer on it, even though it's Windows 11. And sent it back to him. You know, he said he'd lost confidence in it, didn't want it back. And I asked him if he would give it one more chance. And he agreed. He got it, and he said, if it had ran this good when I first purchased it, I would have bought 2 of them. So, long story short, he's very happy with his Ace Magician now. So whatever that weird issue was that he had, it's all resolved. And there was no parts needing to be replaced. It just needed a nice reset and clean install of Windows 11 with all the updates. And he's very happy with it. So just wanted to give you a follow-up on that. And I think these are our final numbers here. As soon as the word stop goes away, see how it says stop in all 5 boxes on the left? Right there. Now that test is complete. Those are our final numbers. So device manager, I suppose I can do that now. Let's go over to, whoops, what did I just do? Did I cleared it out? Let's close this out. Need that anyway. Right click, device manager. We do have some missing items here. So first thing I want to do is go back to Windows Update just to see if there might be some offerings there to deal with that. So we'll go to Windows Update, and under Intel driver that wants to go on. So if you ever have this happen in Windows 11, this will go away in 24 hours by itself. I don't know why Windows 11's Windows Update does this, but if you obsess with fixing it today in this moment, you'll drive yourself crazy. Just ignore it and check it tomorrow. It'll go away on its own. Or you can go through a lot of effort to try and clear out the history and everything, but I just advise you let it go on its own time. Optional updates. No optional updates. All right, so that does mean we're going to have to go to ASRock then. So we'll go to the browser. This is an ASRock LiveMixer. That's our board. Now I see support up here, but we want support for this. So that's probably, yeah, it's down here. And let's see, what is the latest BIOS available? 7.04. What BIOS do we have? Let me bring up my utilities flash drive again and copy over CPU-Z. C testing software. CPU-Z. Rid of this flash drive again. Done with that. So according to this, our main board has, wow, 3.09, is that right? So what I want to do is see how far back 3.09 was. Oh, we're all the way down here. So there's been 1, 2, 3, 4 new BIOSes. Let's grab the BIOS. And we'll extract it. Extract all. And I'll right click and copy this. Close that, close that. I'll grab my BIOS flash drive and we'll plug that in. And we'll copy this file here onto the BIOS flash drive. Small file. Then as for drivers, let's go to download. We likely need, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to grab the Realtek, you know, sound drivers, the Intel INF drivers. Don't think we need the management engine or the Realtek LAN. Don't need that, don't need that. Rock motherboard utility, no, no. Auto driver installer, that scares me. Restart to UEFI utility. Okay, I mean, that seems like a pointless utility that you could just do yourself, but they're making it for the average user, so got to dumb everything down. What is this auto driver installer? It scares me. I'm afraid I'm going to get a bunch of stuff I don't want. Be brave. You read all that, right? You agree to it? Of course you do. You don't have a choice. Update all. Oh, select all and then update. During installation, your system may reboot. Okay. Normally I wouldn't install the Intel Management Engine driver. Apparently it wants us to have it, so I'll just grab it and see. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And if it does, it won't matter because system's not even going to have a case until this time next month. So we'll do a part 2 to this build when the case comes in, and we'll put the power supply in and put the motherboard in. It'll be very easy cable management on that NZXT case, and it can go to Andrew, and I think he's going to be tickled. He has no idea we're doing this for him. You just got to bear with my slow internet connection speed. It's not a reflection of the computer. Okay, it's installing the INF driver, so we might see those items in the device manager disappear as that installs. And there they go. Like magic. Sometimes, in the past, companies like Asus and Gigabyte were trying to bundle in like Norton, McAfee and things in their driver installer software. They were putting bloatware on the computer. So I learned to avoid them. But now it's been a few years. This industry is always changing, and it's always important to go back and test your knowledge to see if what you know is still true. So I'm happy to see that there is no option for any third-party unnecessary bloatware to be thrown on by default with an automatic checkbox, And that's good. I like that. Good on ASRock. That looks happy. So let's do this now. Let's do a regular restart and make sure that we don't have any issues with the drivers. Before we go to update the BIOS, we want to make sure that the system still boots okay with no errors. Because if we update the BIOS without testing a reboot first, and the reboot has an error, we won't know which one caused it. Is that a BIOS-related boot error, or will it be a driver-related boot error? So we're going to do a boot, because it only takes, 13 seconds to boot? And it should just come up normally and be happy. And I'm assuming it's going to do that. And it did. So very good. Now I can move forward boldly to do the BIOS update. So we'll do that by hitting restart and start pressing the delete key when the post screen comes up here. So right now, delete, or is it F2? Either one of those I think will work. There, oh, wow. Look at that BIOS. That's crazy. Come look at this BIOS. That is crazy. So I'm not going to make any changes in here because it'll just reset back. So because it's defaulting to a liquid cooler here. Yeah, that's crazy. Let's do instant flash. Obviously, if you have BitLocker, you need to suspend it. We're not using BitLocker. It found the flash automatically on the flash drive to version 704. I don't have to point to it. It just automatically searched for it. Do you want to update? After pressing enter, the system will automatically reboot. Here we go. It's purple on the inside. It is. It is. Do not power off. Yeah, so whenever you update your BIOS, you want to make sure you leave the system alone. You need to come look at this BIOS. Yeah. I yelled for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You made me come get you. So it's updating right now. Look at the screen.
Oh, wow.
That is the
Holy
background
crap.
wallpaper of the BIOS.
Nice.
So all the text goes over that.
That's cool.
Bob in the chat says
Now,
it's
when you haven't
says-
seen that before.
he says it's purple on the inside too.
It is.
Right?
It is. Holy
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
yeah.
And how often are you ever going to see that anyway?
Exactly.
Once? a year maybe.
That's cool. I was working on the work box.
Oh, you're working on a thumbnail for the Lark box? Okay. Get back to work. Back in your hole. It's just a fun build. Like I said, I don't have any business clients that would want this in their office. But I suppose if one of my clients was like a music production company or something like that, or dealt with music, they would love it. Or if you're just a home user that enjoys the look and design of it and you want something different from everybody else, and you want the latest and greatest, it is a Z790 board. So you could put a 13900 KS in there if you wanted. We're not going to do that. We want to keep it nice and cool. And now we've got the no signal. That means the system is restarting itself, as to be expected with the BIOS update. And in just a moment here, it should reinitialize with the new BIOS. So in just a minute, we should get our power on self-test. It's important you all hands off deck. We don't want to be playing around with the keyboard or mouse. You don't want to power it off during this process. And once again, it is restarting a second time. This is all normal, nothing to be fixed, nothing to be interrupted. Patience, it will come back. I suppose I'll keep this BIOS file on this flash drive because I bought a second board. Once it was on sale, Newegg gave me an Amazon gift card when I reached out to Newegg customer service. I said, hey, I just spent $260 for this board and now it's $199. They said, okay, here's a $60 gift card. And I thought, great, there's nothing else I need to buy. And I thought, you know what? I think I'll buy another one of these boards. I'll give this one to Andrew and I'll build one for myself. Why? I don't know why. Don't have a good reason. All right, let's go back to settings. Let's check Windows Update again. Once again, this will go away tomorrow. Oh, it looks like it went away now. That's good. Basically, it goes away on its own in time, so don't freak out about it. Don't go deleting a bunch of files in your download directory and resetting Windows Update because it's bothering you. Just find something to occupy your time until tomorrow and check it again, and you'll find there was nothing you needed to do but wait. And you're going to get used to that with Windows 11. I've never seen that happen in Windows 10. It's just the way that Windows Update operates a bit differently in the Windows 11 operating system. So you don't have to fix it. All you have to do is give it 24 hours. Now, that is all happy. Everything looks good. What else? What else do I need to do? Am I forgetting something? Oh, are you asking if the Solidyne software would work? So that's what I was looking at. I was looking at the Solidyne software, but this is not a Solidyne drive. So would it work? I don't know. Let's find out. Solidyne drivers. Let's see. It likely will come up and say it's not a Solidyne drive. It says this is a Solidyne storage driver. So that's what I was looking for. But I think this is for basically the Intel family that SK hynix purchased. I don't think it works with their non-Solidyne branded drives. I think if we try and run this, it's going to say no Solidyne drive found. But I'm making an assumption. One way to know for sure. Run it. You're about to install the following software. Strongly recommended you exit all programs. Yeah, okay. Setup did not find any Solidyne SSDs. The Solidyne driver will be saved in the driver store folder, but will only be installed when a compatible Solidyne device is detected. So that's a carryover, basically a rebranding of Intel's NVMe driver and Intel's software, their memory and storage tool. So that's not going to work on the P41. And the Solidyne drives aren't fast. They're budget drives, at least the ones they bought off from Intel. So that's fine. I mean, it's fast. It's not like we're really going to get any difference from a driver anyway. I just thought if it was there, I'll put it in. But yeah, very good. Let's go back in the BIOS, and I want to reset the BIOS back to defaults. I always want to do that after you update a BIOS. So let me go back into it here. We can also turn on Expo, right? Because we learned Expo is universal. It's for Intel or AMD. It's basically XMP for DDR5. So we'll go back in the BIOS. And our RAM, I guess, is running at 4400. We can run that at 6000. I don't care about the power. I don't care about that. Oh, we're going to change this to an air cooler. And fantastic tuning. I guess that's for configuring our fans, but I don't see an auto configure in here. In advanced mode, here at the top, let's exit this. Let's go to advanced mode. And let's go to boot. No, let's go to exit. And let's say load UEFI defaults. Yes. And then we want to go to, is it main? No, overclock. DRAM configuration. Load Expo setting. Profile 1. Now we should be at 6000. Exit. Save changes and exit. Auto driver installer disabled to enabled. I'll probably end up turning that right back off again. So at least that's working. So when that little box pops up in Windows, it says, do you want to, it automatically pops up in the bottom right corner. Do you want to install the ASRock driver thing? And I tell it no. It's apparently switching that to disabled in the BIOS. That's how it's supposed to work. So we might see that again on the reboot. So we're getting the no signal because the system is saving the BIOS settings and then restarting again. And while it's doing that, the monitor displays the no signal, and then once the system initializes and sends a video signal, then of course you get the picture you expect. And take a look here. This thing is dead quiet, absolute silent. That's a very good stock cooling fan. There's words I never thought I'd say. And let's do Control-Alt-Delete and go to the Task Manager. Hit the Performance tab. So tell us about our memory. Running at 6000. That's a big leap from 4400, isn't it? Oh, let me go back in that Performance tab again. Open the resource monitor. CPU core is 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we started at 0. So 0 to 19 is 20 threads, 14 cores, 20 threads. Come on. Are you not impressed? And all that for $209 at Amazon, $247 at Newegg if you want to spend more. That's a really good combination. This $200 motherboard, $209 CPU, and then put whatever DDR5 and storage you want, and whatever case and power supply you want, and you've got yourself an 8-year build, and a really nice aesthetically aesthetically pleasing to look at build at a very aggressive price point. That's a really good value. I'm warming up to ASRock now with the implementation of Expo, as well as their implementation of Gen 5 SSD, which we're not using on this motherboard. But when TEAMGROUP releases their Gen 5 SSDs, they're supposed to hit 14,000. Now, again, I don't think it's going to make much difference to most people in the real world, but we'll make it for the content. Do it for the content. That's all I'm saying. And let's go back over to camera 1. There we are. All right, guys. So does anybody have any final questions for me? We'll wrap it up for today. This is, I figured it would be about a 3-hour build. It only took 2 hours and 20 minutes. Not even that, because I didn't start building until after I explained all the parts and everything. So it's a pretty fast process, pretty straightforward. I like that we have our I/O shield built in, so we just pop it into the case. The NZXT cases already have cable management tracks, so that's going to be super easy. And it'll have 3 fans that are RGB. We'll set the fans to purple. So with a combination of the black heatsink and the black RAM and the black sockets and the black power supply and the black case with the purple motherboard and the purple lights, if Andrew doesn't like it, I'll give him his money back. But I'm going to keep that BIOS because I have another board that's going to need a BIOS. Now, if you think this is cool, you should have seen what I had planned for today. Unfortunately, Amazon still has not arrived here yet. So I'll do it next Friday. So it'll be another build on Friday. And then throughout the week, I've got a bunch of videos to make. I've got the ASUS Store SSD NAS. Wait to test it. I've got that SSD RAID controller card. Can't wait to test it. I've got a Wi-Fi 7 router from TP-Link coming around June 2nd. I have a couple more mini PCs, including the NAD 9 for Minis Forum. That should be showing up maybe in the next 2 weeks. I have, gosh, there's so much stuff going on. I think I'm going to make a video tearing down that V-Link EQ12 that somehow isn't working. I have a few theories as to what went wrong, and I'll share that with you, but I'll do a teardown, and we'll use it for parts, because B-Link doesn't want it back, and they're sending us a replacement, so I need to reach out to them and find out why I don't already have it. What else? What else? What else? I've got a sheet of paper with every video I've got to do jotted down, and I'm just going off the top of my head right now, and those are the ones that are off the top of my head. I've got to finish the big RGB robot's foot build. That's got to get done. So if I'm live this weekend, don't be surprised, because I got a lot of work to catch up on. I don't know yet what's happening because it's a holiday weekend. Things could be very slow, or things might get crazy. So if things end up getting slow, watch for notifications for me to be live Saturday and or Sunday. I still plan on doing the members only live on Monday, even though it's a holiday. It's a show. Show must go on. Monday at 1 o'clock. For sure, for all members, members only video. Monday at 1 o'clock as usual this Monday. Lana says, I want it just because of the colors. Well, it's not too shabby in the performance arena or in the noise arena. It's a very quiet system. And look at all the M.2 slots we've got to play with. A lot of expandability here. Chris Johnson says, great show. Thanks, Carrie, and thank you, chat. Easy Otter says, I really like this board. I'm going to put it on my wish list. George Armstrong says, brilliant build. Lebrun says, thank you, Carrie. Really educational video. Thanks for hanging out with us. Captain Blinsky says, most excellent build. Right on. Yeah, when you're running a 13500 processor, not only are you saving money on your processor, you're saving money on your cooling. And beyond that, if you're going to go to this expansive cooling with radiators, you need a bigger case than accommodate the size radiator you want. That's going to cost more money. So this is far more practical, and the performance difference is going to be negligible to most people, unless you have some particular process that would benefit and justify spending hundreds of dollars more. I think this is probably faster than 95% of the people watching this video are using right now. And it's an i5. But that's how far i5s have come. This i5 is like the i7s of yesteryear. And now it's just considered an i5. It's crazy because software hasn't really kept up with the demand of what hardware's pumping out. So we're reaching a point in the hardware, you're getting a lot for your money. Until software starts really taking advantage of these added resources, you effectively have a very fast computer. Luke Greenia says, enjoyed the stream and content. Thank you. Thanks, Luke. And you got a ton of USB ports. That doesn't even include the USB ports that you can attach to the front of your case, where you have the connectors on the motherboard for USB Type-C, USB 3.0, and 2 USB 2.0. So 4 USB 2s, 2 USB 3s, and a single USB Type-C. So that's an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on top of 20 in the back. So it's 27 total ports. Not USB ports. I just mean total input-output ports. This is a close-up of that little switch and how it's got the blue light for the power. And then when the SSD is activated, the red light will blink on and off, showing read-write activity on the storage. That's $8.99 on Amazon with free shipping. And again, I just put this little quick connector on it from Gigabyte. It was in the box from a Gigabyte motherboard that I wasn't using this part. Otherwise, you just have the regular cables you plug in, which is not a big deal, but just know that it doesn't include that. That's something I did. Terrell wants to know, he wonders how the new Photoshop AI will tax the system. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about it too. But I'll never use it. So someone else will have to tell me. Martin says, interesting build and nice conversation. A well-spent Friday afternoon. Right on. Well, I enjoyed having you here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's check the phone one time before I go and make sure that I haven't missed anything from anybody. $40 from Robert Barnes. He says, more excellent content. Hey, thank you, Robert Barnes. And my new egg package was, oh, that's the Lark box. Okay. And of course, to the folks who have contributed in Super Chat today, let me give you all a shout out one time. I just have to find it. There it is. Thank you to Mark Gaines. Thank you to Larry G, Nick Caffrey. Thank you to Mike Visions, Colin Hunt, Peter Laycock, and our newest member of the Tech Club, Gregory McGlynn. Thanks you guys so much for supporting the content so I can buy this stuff and make these videos so it's content for you guys. And then you can see stuff like virtually trying it out to see if it's something that might fit along with meeting a need that it helps you to hopefully, as close as you can get, know what it's like to own something like this and what it's capable of and how much it's going to cost and what it is to put it together and update the BIOS. And you might say, well, that's interesting, but I have no need for that. Or you might say, I had no idea that existed and I have to buy one. Either way, at the very least, I hope you find it educational as well as entertaining. And there will be, as a reminder, a part 2 to this. And the part 2 will be me putting it into the NZXT case when that arrives, along with this very power supply right here, and then just cable managing it up. In the meantime, I'm going to go to VIP CDK deals and I'm going to buy a Windows 10 Pro license. I'm going to activate it on here. I'm also expecting that Gene, whatever that weird 2 terabyte Gen 4 drive is. And I think I'm going to swap this SK Hynix drive out because I'm giving the system, I don't necessarily need it to have such high-end parts. It's not like I have to warranty it. It's not like my reputation's on the line. It's a gift. So for the reasons of budgeting, I think I'll put that Jianjing or whatever that thing is called, NVMe in here. And then Andrew, if he has any problems with it, he'll let me know. So he can do me a favor by using it. And that's going to be the best burn-in test. And we'll see how it stands the test of time, if that's a brand I can recommend. You got to start somewhere, and I don't want to start with paying customers. And then I'll take this SK Hynix and I'll put it back on the shelf because I don't have any more Gen 4 drives. And I'll order a few more of those Jianjing, or again, I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's $89 for a 2 terabyte Gen 4 drive. So I'll order like 4 of them, and I'll use them on systems that I'm not selling to customers. And then that way we can, give it some time and see if they turn out to be as good as they claim to be. And if so, then we'll know. We see others drives in the future from this manufacturer, what to expect. But certainly nothing I would experiment with my customers. So I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but it looks very promising, at least worthy of purchasing and evaluating. And you can join me in that evaluation. And again, Friday, I've got another build. The build I was going to do today, that's going to be next Friday. And then there's another build the Friday after that, just so you know. That's what's coming up on the Fridays. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And Bradley says, great show. In chat, I bought a NAD 9 today and we'll look forward to your insights. Well, let's trade insights. You let me know what you think about the NAD 9. Nedhead said he ordered the fanxiang S880 2 terabyte drive that I'm talking about. He says that we're trying for $89 and a $6 coupon. That's what I'm saying. It's definitely worth trying. Essential Working Too Hard says, thank you, Carrie and Camera Girl. Again, another great show. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Jim KJ3N has a link to a YouTube video showing the AMD version of this board. And yeah, there you go. All right, guys. And thank you to Camera Girl for our thumbnail. Thank you, Oh, okay. You were, I thought she was at the other side. And thank you for the thumbnail and the camera work. All right. Everybody have a safe Memorial Day weekend here in the U.S. So thank you to all of members of military, police, fire, EMTs. This day is dedicated to them, or not today, but Monday. And I think we have to barbecue. I think that's some law. Because everybody barbecues on Memorial Day weekend. So I guess I better get the coals out, get started. And again, watch for notifications for me going live this weekend. I hope to have time to do that. I just don't know yet, because I got a lot of backlog of videos to make. And we'll see what happens. But thanks again. I'll see you all very, very soon. Until next time, bye for now. I'm trying to find an outro. There it is. Okay. Bye for now.